Money or my love? You can only give up one.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. So in this episode, we're going to talk about Melanie, the Medusa. And she is a very unique Esper. And for players, like most players are losing a lot for not using her. And she has, as every other Shimmer Esper, she has a very unique style of play style. So a Shimmer Esper means that she has something that other Esper don't have, and that is the ability to be very reliable in her petrification, just like her god, the Medusa. But before we go into that, we're gonna look at her first skill. The first skill, Fatal Gaze, attacks one enemy, damage 120% attack, 120% is normal attack damage, 75% chance of inflicting speed down for 2 turns, this is okay, speed down is always going to be useful, 75% chance of transferring one debuff to them. So, if you do give Melanie Avatara, she is able to transfer her debuff back to the enemy if at that turn she counterattack the enemy that is applying debuff to her. So it's quite okay, but it's not necessary a must for her, because this is just a bonus. Like what you want is actually giving her as much speed as you can. So any equipment is alright as long as it gives her speed. So what you aim for from Melanie is her second skill, the Covenant of Punishment. This is her bread and butter. This is what you are aiming for. Her attack inflicts minus 15% AP on targets, and if the target is below 30% AP, inflicts petrification for 1 turn, and petrification makes the enemy cannot take actions or reduce ability cooldown. This is the strongest type of incapacitation, and there are not many Espers that can do this. So petrification is kind of rare, and Melanie is one of the most reliable Esper that can apply petrification on the enemies. And also this is AoE, because every single attack of her will inflict this. So the first skill damage one enemy, and it will trigger this one, minus 15% AP, and if the enemy is below 30% AP, they're gonna get petrification. So on top of having this, you also have the minus 15% AP on Melanie's first skill. But on the third skill, Queen of the Nine, it attacks all enemies, damage 100% attack. This is also a normal attack damage for AoE damage. 100% chance of inflicting minus 15% AP on top of this one. So you got another minus 15% AP reduction on target. So it's already a total 30% AP reduction. And if the enemy is debuffed, inflicts an extra minus 15% AP. So in total, she can reduce the enemy's AP by 45%. And the AP is just straight up 0 to 100% number. So if you see in battle, like there's an AP bar at the bottom of the screen, it goes from the most left corner 0% and the most right corner at 100%. That means her ability reducing the enemy's AP by minus 45%, reduce the enemy's AP by half of your phone screen. So it's huge, like 45% AP reduction is huge, and not many Esper can reduce by 45%. Usually a lot of Esper can reduce the enemy's AP by 30%. You know, even the legendary, like someone like Tia, can only reduce 30%, but because she can also increase her allies' AP, it seems like you gain a lot of AP difference. But this one is 45% AP reduction, so this is kind of like a unique number. So it has only cooldown of 4 turns, so you can really rotate this quite comfortably. And the best thing about her is that because it's not always guaranteed that the enemy will be below 30% AP, but there is a way for you to guarantee this thing to happen. The first one is to pair her up with another AP reduction Esper. Obviously, if you can already reduce the enemy's AP by 30%, reducing it by another 45% means that you reduce the enemy's AP by 75%, meaning that it almost gonna guarantee the enemy to be below 30% AP. And then there is also her soulmate. If you do want to use Melanie to her maximum potential, you need Sienna. If you can manage to get Sienna, her third skill attacks all enemies and erases enemy AP, meaning that this brings the enemy to the most left corner of the AP bar. If you make Sienna move right before your Melanie, then Melanie will guarantee to petrify all of your enemies. Like, it's gonna petrify all 5 of your enemies, and this has a chance, 80% chance of inflicting stun. And if you can give Sienna Abilimon, it will increase the chance to 100%. So you will guarantee to stun the enemy before the 20% natural resist calculation. You have 100% chance to stun the enemy, which gives the enemy debuff that will trigger her third skill that increase an extra minus 15% AP. So that is her soulmate, and that is what you are aiming for. And her captain ability is quite alright, like it gives you a bonus of 15% speed. If you don't have any other captain, you can always use Melanie in any situation. And the thing is that at the very early in the game, you will have trouble fighting against stronger enemies. So what you are relying on when you are trying to kill enemies that are far stronger than you is to prevent them from moving at all. So you're gonna rely very early in the game, either in Temporal Tower or Infinite Tower or in story mode or any other content. You're gonna rely on Controller Esper. And Melanie is one of the best controller Esper because of her high AP reduction and also her ability to petrify the enemy. See, being paired with other AP reduction Esper, usually with Eira and Celine and Sienna, usually with them, and also Pritzker, she can guarantee you to permanently disable the entire enemy team for the entire duration of the fight, and that is Melanie. She's going to be your greatest asset in grinding and climbing up your level. And so if you do get her and you think that you want to use her, then please do so. But if you think that, oh, I have enough of other AP Esper, like AP reduction Esper, like you're gonna rely on Eira, Celine, Sienna, etc., and the Tomb Sister, and you don't have any more slot for DPS, you might want to, you know, not increasing Melanie because she is also a rare Esper. Usually that's what other players think so. But I think personally, investing in Melanie is a very cheap way to do instead of you investing into a legendary Esper. Like you can see it for here myself. I don't invest really high on Sienna, and also definitely not investing on Tomb Sister because the Abilimon, legendary Abilimon for legendary Esper is much harder to get compared to a rare Esper Abilimon. So with Abilimon in here, you can reduce the cooldown to 4 turns and definitely increase the trigger chance, which means that she is a very cheap investment if you don't want to invest too much on your other legendary Esper, and also if you don't want to invest on your epic Esper. So that is Melanie, and we're gonna go to her growth. Advancement, obviously, you can see that I leave her at level 50 because what you are aiming for is not her stats, it's not her damage. What you are aiming for from her is her utility of reducing the enemy's AP and her petrification. And no matter what level she is, she's gonna be able to do both of those jobs really well. Now, to go into resonance, as like any other rare Esper resonance, only the second resonance and the fourth are really useful, especially for Melanie, because the other ones only increase her basic stats, and what she needs is just her the HP and defense for her extra survivability, and that's all. So the second resonance, each surviving enemy grants accuracy by 4%, meaning at 5 enemies you get 20% extra accuracy. It's really good because her petrification and her AP reduction relies a lot on her accuracy. So you can get a lot of accuracy from here. The fourth resonance also, when attacking, 16% chance of ignoring resist. This is gonna help her a lot in applying that AP down and also her petrification. So that is, both of the resonance are good, really good. And her ascension, the first one increase HP and defense. Obviously, again, like I said, she needs survivability more than her attack. The third one is the one that gives the extra 15% AP reduction if the enemy is debuffed. The fourth ascension here gives her speed, which she needs really, which she really needs. And her fifth one increase HP, and the last one accuracy. This is the most important stats for her. So she already got 20% accuracy here, another 20% on resonance. So you can just leave her accuracy at 85% in case that you are facing like a single enemy left. So the rest you can just focus on giving her as much speed as you can, and then the extra stats can go wherever she wants, preferably on HP and defense. So that is what you need from her stats. And equipment, obviously the left side equipment gonna be the wind set, and the right one is gonna be the whatever gives you the highest speed. Now we're going also to the rivalry. If you do want to use her in like beat bout, then her rune also is like, you know, the best one for her. Like the developer already know what is best for her. So Wind and Avatara, like I said here, Avatara gonna make her counter attack her enemy. So if the enemy is currently applying debuff to Melanie, she will be able to return that debuff to the applicator. And then her going to her divinate increase her fatal gaze damage if the enemy is petrified. Is not really that useful because like again, you are not really using her to deal damage, so you don't really need her divinate. So just having her is already good enough. That's why she is a very cheap investment for you to grind and climb the tower in this game. So that's all for Melanie. There's a lot of other Esper going on, and you can always rely on her and other rare Esper. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys get something from this, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.